On August 31, 2016, in the quiet town of Spartan Mills, South Carolina, 32-year-old Evan Carter and his girlfriend, 30-year-old Allie Drake, vanished without a trace. Both had promising lives ahead of them. Evan was a mechanic who loved motorcycles, and Allie was a popular artist with fiery red hair and a free spirit. They had been inseparable since meeting 6 months earlier, moving in together just weeks before their disappearance. They were last seen together at a diner where they had lunch. Surveillance footage showed them leaving together, but after that, their actions became a mystery. Evan's Pontiac Grand Prix and Allie's beloved Pomeranian, Rufus, were also missing. Family and friends were distraught, but local police dismissed their concerns. Maybe they went on a romantic getaway, somewhere remote. But weeks passed without contact. Evan's phone died the day he went missing, but then, in October 2016, his Facebook account suddenly came back online. Posts appeared detailing strange life updates. He claimed that he and Allie had gotten married, bought a house, and were expecting a baby girl. But something was off. The tone was not his own, full of odd phrasing and spelling errors. Friends began commenting, demanding answers. Is this a joke? Where are you, Evan? But there was no response, just strange memes, including one that read, "Sometimes I dig a hole in the backyard to keep the neighbors guessing." Allie's friends were even more worried. She never went anywhere without Rufus, and her family knew she wouldn't abandon her dog or her artwork. Something was very wrong. After weeks of family pressure, the police obtained phone records from Evan and Allie's devices. The signals led them to a remote 95-acre property in nearby Spartan County. The property belonged to Todd Kessler, a successful real estate agent known for his reclusive nature and penchant for firearms. His property was fenced off with no trespassing signs and surveillance cameras, raising suspicions. On November 3, 2016, the police arrived at the property with a search warrant. What they found would have stunned even the most seasoned investigators. The search began as usual, but in a ravine they discovered Evan's Pontiac Grand Prix. It had been crudely camouflaged with branches and dirt. Then came the discovery that changed everything: a steel shipping container, locked and bolted shut. As the officers cut the lock, faint banging sounds came from inside. A muffled voice screamed, "Help me! Get me out!" Inside, they found Allie Drake, alive but chained to the wall. Her wrists and ankles were mangled from being bound, and she wore a heavy chain with a padlock around her neck. Shaking and sobbing, she revealed the horrifying truth. Allie was held captive for 2 months. Kessler lured her and Evan to his home under the pretense of hiring them to do yard work. When they arrived, he shot Evan 3 times in the chest, wrapped his body in a tarp, and buried him in a shallow grave. Allie was forced into a shipping container, where she endured daily abuse. Kessler repeatedly told her, "You'll learn to love me. Eventually, you'll want to stay." He also bragged about other murders. "I've killed people before," he told her, describing himself as a collector who had buried bodies all over the county. He even claimed responsibility for a notorious unsolved case, the 2003 Superbike Motorsports massacre, where 4 employees were shot execution-style. At first, police didn't believe him. But when they confronted Kessler, he made a chilling confession. 13 years ago, on November 6, 2003, at Superbike Motorsports, owner Scott Palmer, his mother Diane, manager Brian Lucas, and mechanic Chris Sherwood were brutally murdered. The case went cold despite extensive media coverage, witness interviews, and a nationwide manhunt for suspects. Kessler, however, remembers everything. He claims he bought a motorcycle from the shop, only to find it was too powerful for a beginner like him. Embarrassed, he tried to return it, but the staff taunted him. "They laughed at me," he sneered. "Called me a rookie." Humiliated, Kessler raged for weeks before returning with a Beretta 9mm pistol. He described the killings as a trained soldier would, boasting of his precision, 4 targets. cleared the room in less than 30 seconds. He even revealed details that police had kept from the public, such as execution-style headshots and the disposition of the victims' bodies. His name had been in the store's customer database all along, but had been overlooked. Kessler was charged with 7 counts of murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and multiple counts of sexual assault. He took a plea deal to avoid the death penalty, receiving 7 consecutive life sentences without parole. Survivors and victims' families faced mixed emotions. Allie Drake, now free, struggled with PTSD but became an advocate for victims of violent crime. Evan's family eventually buried him, grateful for answers but grieving their loss. For the families of the superbike victims, the confession brought bitter closure. Kessler's case exposed the cold duplicity of a man whose outward success was accompanied by a deep and intense darkness. His estate was auctioned off and the proceeds divided among the victims' families. To this day, investigators continue to pursue leads on other potential victims, haunted by Kessler's claim of a double-digit murder count. For Allie Drake, her survival remains a testament to her resilience. She later said in an interview, "He took away my freedom, my love, my peace. But he didn't take away my will to live." The missing link reminds us of the thin veil that separates normalcy from horror, and the relentless drive to seek truth and bring justice even years later. Even after his incarceration, Todd Kessler's crimes still cast a shadow over Spartan County. The rural property where he held Allie Drake has been turned over to the authorities, its eerie silence broken only by the echoes of what investigators have unearthed. Despite a thorough search of the property, whispers of victims persist. Kessler's chilling boast of a double-digit death toll has law enforcement questioning whether justice will ever be served for all those affected by his reign of terror. For Allie, recovery has been a difficult journey. She moved to a new town, far from the memories of the steel tank where she was held. Though the physical scars have healed, the emotional wounds remain deep. Allie has begun to speak out publicly about her pain, sharing her story to shed light on the dangers of predatory behavior. Her courage inspired others, turning her grief into a cry for change. Evan Carter's family found solace in knowing that the killer would never harm another soul. His mother kept his love of motorcycles alive, restoring his Pontiac Grand Prix as a memorial to the son she lost. On weekends, the bike became the centerpiece of local events advocating for safety and justice for the missing. The families of the superbike motorsports victims also found themselves united in grief and closure. They erected a monument near the shop's former site, a polished steel plaque engraved with the names of the 4 lives lost. They gather annually to remember their loved ones and celebrate the community's unwavering determination to solve the case. Todd Kessler's name may fade with time, but the story of those he harmed lives on as a reminder that no secret can stay buried forever. Justice, no matter how slow, will find its way.